going on with others. If you could just play just a little bit more, that would be great.
Thank you while we're waiting to get the projector turned on. Yes. Should I just get started? Okay. All right. Attention, everyone. Here, I'll do this again. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Eastrose Fellowship Unitarian Universalist. To everyone here and online, I don't know if they're hearing us yet. I would say stand up and wave, but we're not going to do that yet. So welcome to first-time visitors. We are very glad that you're here. I'm Katie Norris, your worship leader this morning. Our own Reverend Robin Zucker will speak on honoring Indigenous Peoples Day and and being a good relative. For our online guests, if you would like, are we online? We are online. Okay, so for our online guests, if you would like to share a joy or sorrow during that portion of the service, you can do so by entering it in the YouTube chat, and those will be shared aloud with everyone. I also encourage you to identify yourself in the chat so that we may better acknowledge your presence with us today. So land acknowledgement. Our church stands on the historic homeland of the Upper Chinookan people, whose territory once spread across the plains and wetlands of the Wapato lowland, along the Columbia, between Troutdale and Kalama. Chinookan people still live among us here today on Northwest reservations, and of course, across the U.S. and the world. Although the Chinookan people have a distinct identity and heritage and a well-documented history, the Chinook are not formally recognized as a tribal nation by our government yet. So let's take a moment now and greet everyone with us today. First, let's stand and face the cameras by the clock on the back wall and wave hello to the online attendees. Hello, everyone. And now let's greet each other here in the sanctuary. Thanks, everyone, for listening to the ding of the bell. Okay, so we're going to start with the responsive call to worship. Grandfather, look at our brokenness, and I'll read the part in, you can switch to the next slide. I'll read the part in white and you read the part in orange. Grandfather, look at our brokenness.
We know that in all creation, only the human family is strayed from the sacred way.
We know that we are the ones who are divided.
And we are the ones who must come back together to walk the sacred way.
Grandfather, Sacred One, teach us love, compassion, and honor.
That we may heal the earth and heal each other.
Christina Wright will light the chalice. Flame of fire, spark of the universe that warmed our ancestral hearth, agent of life and death, symbol of truth and freedom, we strive to understand ourselves and our earthly home.
Good morning, everyone. Good to see all of you today. Thank you for your patience as we work through our technical issues. Here we are. We have several readings today throughout the service written by Joy Harjo. She is a member of the Muskogee Creek Nation. She served as the 23rd U.S. Poet Laureate from 2019 to 2022, and she was the first Native American to hold this esteemed post. She wrote our opening words, "Don't bother the earth spirit." Don't bother the earth spirit who lives here. She is working on a story. It is the oldest story in the world, and it is delicate, changing. If she sees you watching, she will invite you in for coffee, give you warm bread, and you will be obliged to stay and listen. But this is no ordinary story. You will have to endure earthquakes, lightning, the death of all those you love, the most blinding beauty. It's a story so compelling you may never want to leave. This is how she traps you. See that stone finger over there? This is the only one who ever escaped. Our opening hymn is number 308 in the Gray Hymnal, The Blessings of the Earth and Sky. The words will also be on the screen. Please rise as you are willing and able. Tara will now come up with our time for all ages, and children of all ages are invited to come up with her for the story.
Thank you. Okay, so our story today is called My Powerful Hair, and it was written by Carol Lindstrom, who is a member of the Turtle Mountain Band of Ojibwe. She grew up in Nebraska. It was illustrated by Steph Littlebird, a member of the Grand Ronde Confederated Tribes and a lifelong resident of Oregon. The author dedicates this book to her mom and her grandma and all survivors of Indian boarding schools. Under federal law in the 19th and 20th centuries, many Native American children were taken from their families and forced into Indian boarding schools. Their languages, ceremonies, and cultures were stripped from them. Their long hair was called wild and savage and cut short. The motto behind this assimilation was kill the Indian, save the man. Many Oregonians don't know that our state is home to the longest running Indian school in the U.S., the Chemawa Indian School in Salem, which opened in 1880. In an interview with the Oregonian, Steph Littlebird said, "I want children to know this history. It can be painful. My purpose is to uplift the community. We do have a lot of trauma that we're grappling with." She hopes that young people can develop empathy for Indigenous people and for those who tell their stories. So, my powerful hair. I can't wait for my hair to grow. Mom never had long hair. She was told hers was too wild. Nokomis couldn't have long hair. Hers was taken. Our ancestors say our hair is our memories, our source of strength, an extension of us. When Nimishumis taught me how to fish for the first time, my hair was at my ears. His stories and the memories of that day are woven into my hair. Our ancestors say we grow our hair long to be close to Mother Earth. When my baby brother was born, my hair touched my shoulders. The gift of welcoming him into the world is woven into my hair. Our ancestors say our hair carries energies and power. It's a celebration of our lives. When my cousins taught me how to make moccasins, my hair was past my shoulders. All of the laughter and stories from that day are woven into my hair. Our ancestors say when a loved one braids your hair, it reinforces the sacredness of your relationship. When my hair reached the middle of my back, Auntie Delia braided it so that I could dance at powwow. All of her teachings and prayers are woven into my hair. Our ancestors say our hair is our medicine. The vibrancy of our culture and our connections to the earth and to each other are woven through our hair. When Nimishumis journeyed onto the spirit world, my hair was past my waist. I cut it. I sent it into the spirit world with him so that he could have my energies. I'm growing my hair long again. Mom says she wants to grow hers too. We'll do it together. That's the end. Thank you for joining me.
This is that time when we drop into some quiet time together, this sort of prayerful time, and also meditative time. An ancient practice across traditions, Hindu, Jewish, Christian, and certainly Native American. A place to be with the spirit, with nature, with ancestors, with what is true. So I invite you to close your eyes and put your feet on the floor and uncross your arms. If you're holding something, to possibly put it down, and to see if you can put your hands open on your lap so that nothing is sort of closing you off from being spacious. And just breathe. 4 beats in through your nose slowly, 5 or 6 beats out through your mouth slowly in a steady stream. Let yourself go into a quiet place within. No high thinking, no problem solving, just breath. Just breath. Let the breath make you spacious inside, starting at the crown of your head, moving down through your body, opening your heart, and traveling down to where your feet are rooted to the ground. And just breathe. 4 in through your nose, 5 or 6 out through your mouth in a rhythm. And we'll just breathe for a while. You take your breath with you everywhere you go. You can call on your breath anytime for physical, emotional, psychological, spiritual relief and support. In the quiet of your breath, may you feel and find peace and hope to use that grounded place to help heal the world. Slowly bring yourself back to this space. We'll remain seated to sing our quiet song. It's number 1069 in the Teal hymnal, Ancient Mother. And Phyllis is going to accompany us on the drum.
I'll play it through once, and then you all will sing it 3 times.
Watched a spider like come down from the ceiling, and I'm trying to walk around it. It's Ancient Mother coming to join us. Okay, this is an excerpt from "For Calling the Spirit Back from Wandering the Earth in its Human Form, Feet," also by Joy Harjo. Put down that bag of potato chips, that white bread, that bottle of pop. Turn off that cell phone, computer, and remote control. Open the door, then close it behind you. Take a breath, offered by friendly winds. They travel the earth, gathering essences of plants to clean. Give it back with gratitude. If you sing, it will give your spirit lift to fly to the stars' ears and back. Acknowledge this earth who has cared for you since you were a dream, planting itself precisely within your parents' desire. Let your moccasin feet take you to the encampment of the guardians who have known you before time and who will be there after time. They sit before the fire that has been there without time. Let the earth stabilize your post-colonial insecure jitters. Be respectful of the small insects, birds, and animal people who accompany you. Ask their forgiveness for the harm we humans have brought down upon them. Don't worry. The heart knows the way, though there may be high rises, interstates, checkpoints, armed soldiers, massacres, wars, and those who will despise you because they despise themselves. The journey might take you a few hours, a day, a year, a few years, 100, 1,000, or even more. Watch your mind. Without training it, might run away and leave your heart for the immense human feast set by the thieves of time. Do not hold regrets. When you find your way to the circle, to the fire kept burning by the keepers of your soul, you will be welcomed. Then you must do this. Help the next person find their way through the dark. All right, I would like to introduce my sister to give a personal reflection. This is Christina Wright, who has been my lifelong best friend, my ride or die. She will offer a personal reflection on Indigenous Peoples Day. Okay, hello. Today I would like to share a part of my life with you. It's so small. There's a lot to say, but I'm going to keep it short. So I'm half Navajo Indian from Fort Defiance, Arizona. When I was 5 or 6, my parents explained to me that I was adopted and shared with me the information they had regarding my biological parents. My father, who is Navajo Indian, in the adoption papers, it stated his personality was outgoing, friendly, and cooperative. His special interests included sports, horses, and calf roping. I later found out that he spent a majority of his life traveling the country in the rodeo circuit and was very good at what he did, won many awards. His whole family, even my cousins now, are still in the rodeo, boys and girls. My kids and I finally met this side of the family, and it was a wonderful feeling to finally have that connection. In 2019, we went down there to Arizona, and this time we stayed at their house on the reservation. I had a chance to meet my grandmother and other relatives. My grandmother is well known throughout the Navajo tribe. She's famous, let's put it that way. She's done so many things, it would take the whole service to say everything that she's done throughout her life. But she's an amazing woman. She has made it an interesting life for her and her family. I have brought a few pictures from our last trip down there, and we attended the Navajo Nation Fair and a powwow. And we have some pictures of my grandma and myself. She's 98, and she's still doing her thing. She just got her doctorate at ASU like 3 years ago. So she's still alive and kicking, doing her thing. That's my father on the far left, and my kids, and my grandmother and myself. The Navajo talkers, of course, was a big thing. We went out there and looked at all the information that they had for that, and they're very proud of that. Window Rock, Dakota, that was a few years back. And then my dad and the kids and the res. When we were at the fair, they had yarn, and they had different plants on how to get that color of yarn, which was pretty cool. And this was the powwow. I don't know if it's gonna work. I feel so blessed to have
this as part of me. And this is the reservation where we were staying at their house. And it's pretty windy, so it's going to get loud. But I just wanted to show where we stayed at and how beautiful it is there. And that's my family. My aunt, uncle, kids, and I'm just thankful to share this with you guys. Thank you.
Being a good relative, honoring Indigenous Peoples Day. Back in 2021, I participated in a program created by the Unitarian Universalist Association called Beloved Conversations. It's a multi-week anti-racism diversity program with reflective exercises and dialogue groups and resources such as essays and films. Around the fourth week, we were asked to complete an exercise that vexed me, irritated me, and I would admit, even angered me. Always pay attention to anger. The question was, what reparations do your ancestors owe to enslaved or marginalized people? When my dialogue group of 4 colleagues met the following week, I proclaimed that I had not done the exercise because I'm Jewish. My own ancestors fled Eastern Europe to escape pogroms, cleansings, persecution, and slaughter. We all know that story. Reparations? You are barking up the wrong tree, bub. Yet. Did I benefit from walking around with a European face? Did I benefit from the opportunities my family enjoyed? Education, housing, relative safety? Yes, most definitely. Then a lightning bulb moment, more recently, as I reconsidered the question of reparations and complicity in preparation for today's service. You see, I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a city named for an English lord. It's a melting pot place of immigrants flanked by 3 rivers, all with Native American names: the Allegheny, the Monongahela, and the Ohio. My first childhood home sat at the corner of Phillips and Pecusset Street, another queasy confluence of colonialism and Native origins. I never really noticed these things. I was too secure, maybe clueless, in my bubble of Jewish Squirrel Hill culture, a modern-day shtetl with a Mercedes standing in for the milk wagon. Later in my life, I lived for many years in Concord, Massachusetts. And there is that cringe-worthy pairing again, a leafy, bucolic, classically Yankee town where I relished my hikes in the Punkatasset Woods that merged with the adjoining Estabrook Woods at a tranquil T intersection. Punkatasset, it means shallow brook in the native language, and Estabrook, the Anglicization, meaning those who live east of the brook, the white settlers. 3 rivers converge there too, interestingly enough. The Sudbury, named for an English town, and the Assabet, an Algonquin word meaning a place of fishing nets, and they flow together into the mouth of the Concord River. Amazing, isn't it, when you start looking for connections and then see them and feel just a little lump in your highfalutin throat. So I am not without complicity. I lived and I prospered on those lands. Then for 4 years, as I believe most of you know, I lived in Flagstaff, Arizona, right at the edge of the Navajo Reservation, where it's nearly impossible to sidestep the truth. We live on Native land with Native nations surrounding us. It is all Indian land. We worship on Native land on the edge. We worshiped on Native land on the edge of the Navajo Reservation, the largest in our country, a beautiful place, but haunted with neglect, grief, and poverty. And now here I am, resettled in Oregon, Multnomah, Clackamas, Yamhill, Willamette, the names of Native nations recast as counties, street names, and towns. Today we worship on Native land here at Eastrose, and we acknowledge that in our service. We've had conversations about what to say. Should we say this? Should it be long? Should it be short? Should we name all the tribes? We have a land acknowledgement. You heard it earlier. Yet, in my view, and in the view of many people who have now written about this, land acknowledgements, even those offered in good faith, they're not enough if they're merely performative. I have a video to show you. Phyllis, can we see the video? Thanks.
Hello. Oh. Hello. First, I'd like to remind everyone here to turn off your cell phones. Before we begin this evening's performance, we would like to acknowledge that this theater stands on territory of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Huron-Wendat, and the Petun First Nations. We are also mindful of broken covenants and the need to make right with all our relations. And now, please enjoy the show.
Oh, sorry, hello? Sorry, excuse me, should we go?
Excuse me?
Oh, no, I just mean if we're on someone else's land, shouldn't we leave?
Oh, no. The theater is here now. We'd just like to acknowledge whose land it is.
I'm sorry, I'm so confused. So if we're on someone else's land, shouldn't we do something about that, or?
Hopefully we'll enjoy the performance.
Oh, okay, so some of the money from the ticket sales of the show are going to the Indigenous communities?
Well, no.
Oh, a portion of them?
No, the ticket sales go to the theater.
So is the money from the bottled water sold here going to the First Nations for clean drinking water, or?
Oh, no, that money goes to Nestle.
Nestle.
They're a sponsor.
I'm so sorry, I'm so confused. So whose land are we on? What are we doing?
It's a dialogue.
How are we making right?
Well, there's a plaque you can read in the lobby.
I don't understand.
I'm getting a message from the stage manager that we need to begin the show, so please take your seats.
But
have a good time.
Good night. Guess I'll sit down. Enjoy the show. Just enjoy the show.
The video is satire. It's from a sketch comedy show, but there is always a kernel of vexing truth in satire, including this one. So, are we supposed to all get up and leave the chapel now? No, that's not going to shift the equation. I believe we can sit or learn to sit with our discomfort and be moved to action, to genuine partnership with the Indigenous people of this region. We can learn how to become good relatives, authentic allies. As a first step in that direction, I've been exploring organizations we might partner with to give Our land acknowledgements, something beyond performative, give it texture and purpose. I found something online called Making the Invisible Visible, and it's just lists of organizations we might partner with. We also have an event coming up on Monday that John is very involved with. These flyers are in the lobby, and he has more of them. It's an Indigenous Peoples Day celebration at Barbie's Village, which you can talk to John more about this after the service. But these are real ways we can come into relationship with Indigenous people. I'm sure you have ideas as well beyond our very well-meaning land acknowledgement. As Unitarian Universalists, we want to be perceived as the good guys, or at least the better guys. We are progressive, we're open and affirming, we do partner actively with anti-racism and LGBTQ organizations, we support immigrants and Native people. But being UU doesn't nullify complicity, and our historical record is not pristine. Yes, we have evolved from a liberal Protestant perspective to a non-creedal, non-Christian, and largely humanist one, but we are not where we were, and we cannot expunge past errors or pat ourselves on the back too heartily for the more positive associations our denomination now enjoys. Here's the record, and maybe you've never heard this before. It may be difficult to hear. It was for me, but self-interrogation and commitment to action are the only paths to true intersectionality and justice-making. In 1787, Christians who later declared themselves Unitarians were participants in the Society for the Propagation of the Gospel meant to Christianize Native Americans. They believed this process would be, quote, morally improving to Native people. In 1870, the American Unitarian Association accepted a charge over the Colorado reservations at the request of President Ulysses S. Grant. This was meant to reduce government corruption and once again, quote, civilize the Indians. The Unitarians did eventually establish the Montana Industrial School for Indians, which was a positive development. In 1909, President Taft, who was himself a Unitarian, appointed the AUA president, Samuel Atkins Elliott, to the Board of Indian Commissioners. In that capacity, he gave an address meant to argue how only assimilation to white culture would save Native Americans from their own barbarism. This was the president of the American Unitarian Association. Yet, in 1970, 60 years later, in a whole new era of progressive activism, the General Assembly of the UUA urged support for independent Indigenous nations, officially opposed the exploitation of Native people in their lands, and insisted on reparations. And then again, in 1975, GA openly condemned violence at the Pine Ridge Reservation, and in 1980, LaDonna Harris, president of the Americans for Indian Opportunity, was offered the prestigious Ware Lecture at the General Assembly. In 1993 and again 1997, GA supported justice for and expressed solidarity with Indigenous people. And in 2000, a resolution was passed supporting Native American treaty rights, and the following year asked that sports mascots cease using Native American tropes, symbols, and images. Our connection with Native nations goes on and on, admirably in the last few decades, not so admirably in the last couple centuries. But UUs all over the country, they joined in witness and protest, beginning in 2016 with Sioux people at Standing Rock in North Dakota. And some were arrested, some were injured, but they stayed there and they supported the Native nation. Now, perhaps these actions between 1970 and 2001 can be viewed as redeeming, but there is so much more to be done. And moving forward, I feel that this congregation can connect with that work by supporting organizations that promote truth and reconciliation and the fight for Native sovereignty and reparations. One such group is the national organization called Coming to the Table, which has a Portland affiliate, and I intend to reach out to them and find out more about them this fall. You can learn more about reparations and amends by reading the UUA Common Read that we will have a 3-part discussion about starting October 25th, and all the details about that are in our petals and on our website. Now, during my time in Flagstaff, 4 years there, I was so privileged to get to know a woman named Hillary Giovanni. Her website is goodrelative.org. It's where I first heard this term. And goodrelative.org is a fantastic website, and I encourage you to look at it. It's full of resources, articles, and inspiration, and also challenging questions to ask yourself. Hillary is white, she is wealthy, and she is willing to self-interrogate as a 9th-generation American settler on Arizona land of Scottish, Irish, and Scandinavian descent. She writes in her introduction, "I live at the foot of a mountain that is sacred to many Indigenous nations. I am currently in a state of inquiry. How can I be a good relative here on their ancestral homeland?" Hillary lives into this question, not with self-recrimination, but as an act of love and justice, as a speaker, teacher, and reparative philanthropist. She's using her wealth towards this cause. She writes, "Divesting from whiteness, I seek to bridge the divide with truth, healing, apology, and forgiveness." Giovanni acknowledges the challenge of reparations and that what has happened to Indigenous nations in America is, in her words, an unpayable debt. And I would agree with that. Yet she believes that we start, as I did, with that light bulb moment that connects us to what we've gained through their loss. She reminds us that we need to feel genuine empathy rather than guilt in order to dismantle it, or minimally to move the needle past land acknowledgements. The Good Relative site lists a variety of approaches to reparations, notably making amends via nonprofit, crowdfunding, and micro-actions, and how reparations grow from grassroots and intersectional relationships. We've also made copies of a handout that, in addition to the flyer for the event, is called Questions About Home for you to consider. They're out on the table, and for us to explore together in the future. The questions can be very challenging, but I think they are worth considering. So here at Eastrose, we can do more than acknowledge. As uncomfortable as it may be, I urge you to ask yourself, even to the point of being vexed or irritated or angry, what reparations do I, my ancestors, and my descendants owe to the Native people upon whose land we gather and worship today? For as the poet Joy Harjo reminds us, let the earth stabilize your post-colonial insecure jitters. Ask forgiveness for the harm you have wrought. Make a giveaway and make your speeches short. Then you must do this. Help the next person find their way through the dark. May we be so courageously moved. Blessed be, blessed we, and amen. We will sing our closing hymn, and it is Building a New Way, which is number 1017 in the teal hymnal, and the words will also be on the screen. Please rise as you are willing and able.
Okay, I'll start again because that was you.
We know that our financial contributions to this congregation come from sacrifice and hard work. We are so grateful for your generosity and commit together to ensure the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and our world than they could have alone. May there be an offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this congregation. May we give in love and hope. Half of each week's Sunday collection is shared with the local nonprofit. For the months of October through the end of the year, we share with Our Just Future. Our Just Future works to alleviate the impacts of poverty on people and communities. Their work counters many of the primary forces that make and keep people poor. Their work is focused on East Portland and East Multnomah County, one of the most diverse areas in Oregon. Here, many individuals, families, and communities experience high rates of economic and housing insecurity and residential displacement as a direct result of historic and ongoing policies and practices that deprive communities and individuals of land, wealth, and basic human rights because of their identity. We're going to pass the basket. If you are a first-time visitor, please let the basket pass you by. You are our guest today. We now gratefully receive the gifts of this congregation. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Our benediction is Eagle Poem by Joy Harjo. We see you, see ourselves, and know that we must take the utmost care and kindness in all things. Breathe in, knowing that we are made of all this, and breathe, knowing we are truly blessed because we were born, and we will die soon without a true circle of motion, like eagle rounding out the morning inside us. We pray that it be done in beauty, in beauty.
We have a few announcements. Cynthia wanted me to remind everyone to sign up for coffee and flowers and cleanup for next week. Go look at those sheets and see where there's some empty spots and write your name in. On October 21st, 10 to 1, there will be a Gresham Repair Cafe at Habitat for Humanity Restore. They're looking for volunteers and those with fixing skills. Please see Karen Pyle for more information. Nuts and Bolts Theater is performing Still Magnolias. Today there's a matinee. I think Keene has the information on a flyer out in the lobby. And again, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday next week. And it says very well done. I'm assuming that means it's a really good performance. And that, go check out that flyer in the lobby, and Keene can talk to you about it if you have questions. Yard cleanup on the 12th. It says 9 through 12, sorry, on October 21st. So not the 12th. It's 9 to 12 on October 21st. And again, Keene can give you information. And then there will be an all-ages game night on Saturday, October 21st. From 5 to 8 p.m. in the Thatcher room, which is the back room. We'll have chili and toppings and frozen treats for dessert. Feel free to bring a friend, your favorite chili, or a game to share. All are welcome. Talk to Tara, who did the story, for more information. Sure.
So I mentioned this book in my sermon. It's the UU Common Read on Repentance and Repair. This has been in the Pebbles for a few weeks. You still have time to get the book, borrow the book. We're going to have 3 Zoom conversations about this book, and we will be doing it in collaboration with the good people of Beacon UU in Flagstaff. So it'll be an interesting, varied group. We've already mentioned the game night. And I just wanted to point this out again.
All right. Yeah, Keith.
I just wanted to remind people that it is this coming Friday, which is the snowcap work from 3 to 5. So it is happening, it just wasn't what I said it was.
Okay.
And also, could I say that it's Will Horniak, who will be, is that how you pronounce his name?
Horniak.
Will be doing the service next week. So I know that he's somebody you all really love, so he will be leading the service next Sunday.
He's a great storyteller, so you don't want to miss him. All right, the service is complete, and it's visiting time. So if you are online, you can find information about how to dial into the Zoom meeting for Cafe Conversations. And if you're staying here, we're moving coffee into the back room, so see you there.
If you're new, the Thatcher Room is all the way down the hallway, and that's where we'll be gathering for